For the last 9 years owning this store, I've seen things.
So you practice the occult?
Yes, witchcraft, paganism.
You invite in the possibility of much stronger presences than you were expecting.
It is real. We've had stuff fly off the shelves in the middle of the night.
There is real spiritual power.
People normalizing worship of Satan.
Witchcraft. The use of magic, especially rituals, spells, and crystals. Fueled by social media trends and influencers, the occult has rapidly grown in America. But where does this all come from?
Today, we're in Salem, Massachusetts, the witchcraft capital of the world.
We're going to be interviewing some churches, talking to some people, going to a witchcraft museum.
Powered by the Holy Spirit and unhealthy amounts of caffeine.
Yeah, this store is very...
Do you think witchcraft is just an aesthetic, like a Halloween type thing, or is there actual, like a spiritual power to witchcraft?
I'm not a witch, I'm not a religious person, and never was. When I bought this store, though, I was very skeptical. Will say this, over the last 9 years owning this store, I've seen things, I've seen people get readings, I've seen some interesting stuff that suggests that, yes, it is real. But my thought on it is that it's really everyone is kind of tapping into the same thing. Whether you pray to a god, or multiple gods, or
Higher power,
like a witchcraft thing where it's like nature or whatever, all that stuff. Praying in church is the same exact thing as a witch doing a ritual with different herbs and different things to get a certain result.
Although this town is big on witchcraft, not everyone agrees.
we tagged up with Stephen.
A local Baptist pastor to see what he had to say.
Is it more of just a cultural aesthetic thing? Oh, let's dress up as witches, it's Halloween all the time? Or is it actually a serious spiritual problem?
Yes, both. To answer your question, if you come here in October, last year they had over 1.2 million visitors in the month of October. Wow. If you come then, it's going to look mostly like a tourist attraction. A lot of families dressed up for Halloween. It's just a big month-long Halloween marketing aesthetic thing. But year-round, I've heard estimates of as many to 4,000 to 8,000 practicing witches. Wow. And again, that can mean a variety of things. It can be a combination of beliefs, or it can just be like exclusively dark black magic. Like whatever image you have in your mind of witchcraft may be the reality, or it may be more of a combination of different spiritualities.
Speaking of spirituality, we weren't expecting what happened later that day. But before we get there, the main street had its own story to tell.
Someone play scary music.
As soon as you get there, you see
Magic stores offering everything you need to practice witchcraft. One store even had a team of resident witches to get your palms read, and a witch altar in which people wrote their intentions to Satan. Looking through the notes, they were really genuine. People asking for good health, the protection of loved ones. We even saw the memorial of a young boy who passed away. To learn more about the history of Salem, we stopped by our next location.
All right, we're going to church right now. Just kidding. It's actually the Salem Witch Museum.
I hate to say it, of all the places we've been to so far besides the churches, this is probably the most vanilla.
In case you dozed off during history class, the Salem witch trials occurred in 1692, when two girls, Abigail Williams and Betty Paris, began screaming, barking, and contorting out of nowhere. Their bizarre behavior started a year-long witch hunt that led to over 200 accusations and 20 executions. It's now known as one of those infamous cases of mass hysteria and religious extremism in United States history.
The presentation was very much based on the history and how it was unjustified and stuff like that. But they didn't really address there was no natural or scientific explanation for those sudden outbursts. So checkmate, atheists.
There you go. It was pretty sus, you know? I was just like,
yeah.
But it got me wondering, were these girls actually possessed? Or were they sick, just faking it? I wanted to learn the truth.
I also found Bob's testimony a bit unsettling, and it only got crazier when he told us this.
That is because I've seen people get readings, and they come out, and the reader knows something about them, and tells them something that there's no possible way they could know.
Like what?
A good example is, I had a reader was talking to a woman, and first of all, for one, the woman was newly pregnant, but I didn't see it. And some people can see it. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it. Told her, you're going to have twins. And the person, the subject of the reading, the woman, had an ultrasound the day before, and she was having twins.
Whoa.
I mean, just How does that happen? How do you guess that?
Right.
As we were walking through town, we had the chance to chat with someone who claimed to practice magic, and here's what she had to say.
And so you practice the occult.
Yes, I like witchcraft, paganism. I also do like Buddhism, also like mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and it's not so much like I, practice it, but I take things like from here and there and kind of.
Did you grow up occult, or were you raised like Christian, and how'd you get into it?
Yeah. Well, basically, I was raised kind of Christian. My family, we would go to church sometimes, but they had a very open view. Started off, honestly, with Halloween. I always saw myself different. I liked, these dark things, and kind of from there, not the norm, basically, yeah.
So when you practice the occult, what does it actually look like? Like tarot cards, seances, what do you actually do?
I know people that do like not seances, but they'll do tarot or crystals. My boyfriend's mom, she does a lot of like apothecary, so like healing herbs. Personally for me, the only thing I've really done is like manifestation, where you'll journal, manifest things, not necessarily curse people or anything, kind of envision what you want, as well as kind of candle magic too.
Do you think it's real, or is it sort of like an aesthetic, like a cultural thing? Have you witnessed any supernatural experiences?
I haven't. I don't think it's necessarily real, but I don't think it's not real. That's the thing.
Wait, so how does that work? Like real only if you believe it's real?
Yeah, and like I don't think like the way that we expect things to work, I don't think it's going to be that way. Like I do believe in like the power of manifestation. If you want something really bad, you attract it. You attract what you give out. But I don't believe spells. It's like, make them fall in love with me, make this happen. No, I feel like when it's related to personal stuff, our words have a lot of power.
Do you believe in a god?
An a god?
Or gods?
Yeah, I used to believe in kind of the Christian God thing, in Jesus. But now more so I see God more as like a metaphysical, like we're all God, we're all kind of part of the universe, like the universe is God. Mm-hmm. I see it more so like, we're all little droplets of water and God is just the ocean and the waves.
What are your thoughts on Jesus? Some people think he's actually God, that's what Christians believe. Other people believe he's just a wise prophet or just a rebel. So who do you view Jesus as?
I see Jesus, well, my mom has told me a lot, Jesus, don't take it more so as like God, but like a teacher. Just like, Buddha or all these other examples in religion. Jesus is just a teacher, kind of be kind to those who are forgotten about. And I see it more a myth, but like, a good example.
To the uninformed person, witchcraft might seem pretty innocent and chill. However, others claim it has more sinister intentions.
So you said that you've experienced both indirect but also very direct forms of witchcraft. What are some of the more direct forms, whether it be in public or in your congregation?
I've never experienced what I'm about to say except for in Salem itself, so in the last 5 years. We've had people come on Sunday mornings who have sat outside our church building and like laid down and done some kind of ritualistic...
Like a curse?
Probably. Again, it's hard for me to know for sure because I'm not an insider into exactly what they're doing. But we've seen things like that with our own eyes. And we've had visitors come inside the building too who were kind of in odd places and would do some strange things during our worship services.
What would they do?
Like we've had some folks that sit right back here, they just kind of come in late, never been here before, never been here since. You could just tell they were like mumbling under their breath, kind of rocking in their seat, almost as if they were in some kind of spiritual state that the rest of the congregation was not in. And so it's hard for me to fully know what they were doing. Living in Salem, you do make some assumptions. Like, okay, I know there's some spiritual presence here. But that's what the practice we've gotten into is just to be a prayerful presence. They do a pretty good job of keeping it in back corners. You have to be a little bit of an insider to really find the dark stuff I think you're referring to. A lot of the stuff is insider. So like a lot of like the meetings that different witchcraft groups have, they're behind closed doors or like in dark parts of the forest on certain full moons. They do have like rituals that they go out and do in certain parts of the woods. I don't go to those things, obviously, or get invited to those things. You have to go searching for it, like in the darkest sense with that stuff. There are the various shops in the city, which are, again, part tourist, like you can buy a keychain with whatever you want. Or if you like go deeper into the store, like owners of those stores are like real connected in those communities. Vampire stuff or black magic or new age stuff, like any variety you can find in the city of Salem.
After talking to Pastor Jeff, it was clear that witchcraft has seeped into almost every aspect of the city. At almost any store, you can buy tarot cards, Ouija boards, and crystals. Even kids stores, they sell them as toys. It's no different than going on vacation with grandma, grabbing an ice cream, and some souvenirs. In fact, Salem receives 1.4 million visitors each year, supporting the witchcraft industry as a whole, which is a growing sector in the United States. Psychic services, spellcasting, tarot card reading, astrology was valued at approximately $2.3 billion in 2025.
Salem is also home to the Satanic Temple, a surprisingly popular tourist destination. The museum features statues, artwork, and books outlining the history and values of modern Satanism. It's become so normalized that families, even children, pose with the infamous Baphomet statue as a fun souvenir. Interestingly enough, the Satanic Temple is actually a non-profit that claims it doesn't actually worship Satan. Instead, they say Satan is merely a symbol of rebellion against tyranny and outdated social norms. But Father Murray wasn't buying it.
Well, since I've been here, they have advertised at least one time that they were having a black mass, which means that they got a hold of a Eucharist, a host, and they desecrated. That itself is enough to convince me that on the surface, maybe that's what they're saying, that they're simply atheists and it's neutral, they're making a mockery of us. On the other hand, they still advertise that.
And of course, we as Catholics believe that the Eucharist is not just bread, it's the true body and blood of Christ. It's transformed during Mass.
Well, they recognize it, the real presence.
Right. At this point, we had spoken to people on both sides, store owners, people who practice the occult, Christians. But what about your average person on the street? What did they have to say?
There's some good stuff around here. You can do a lot, especially during Halloween. Like, there's a lot of like tourists and stuff like that.
Well, it's the witchcraft capital of the world. At least it's known that way. Have you experienced that? Is there a ton of like tarot card readings, seances?
You'll just bump into people that think life's just like a party, like 24/7, or like you just
like no responsibilities.
Yeah, and you need to have.
You're saying like have a 9-to-5 job and contribute to society instead of just smoking weed and crystals.
Exactly. None of that stuff's gonna help you or benefit you in any way, man.
Do you think it's actually real?
I say a little bit of both, but I don't know or haven't like researched enough to know if that like spiritual side of things is real or not.
Do you believe in God or a God?
I definitely believe in something. I don't like carry a Bible with me 24/7. I got one back in my car right now, but like
what translation?
Christian.
Nice.
Yeah, but like I don't like read it every day or anything, nothing like that.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Am I gonna see this on YouTube or anything like that?
Probably, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, we're professionals.
Dude, totally, yeah. First interaction.
There's even like thunder outside.
Yeah.
Like, I think someone like casted a spell. They wanted like rain. Oh my goodness.
You guys see that? I think we might have angered some witches.
There's an air here. There's an air that isn't just like, oh, because we're Christian, we're trying to make this feeling. Like, no, there's actually something here. The craziest thing about this place is that this is normalized. Like this right here.
These are all professional witches.
This
it almost
is-
seems like a pastor's like bulletin. You just have witch here, witch here, witch here, tarot cards, crystals.
And no hate to anybody personally here,
Yes.
but it's just like people are misled here. They think that this will help them.
Low-key, I wonder why there's no wizards. It's all witches. I wonder if there's like a certain appeal for women to pursue this. Even when we were in the shop earlier today, most of the people getting their palms read were all women. So we're with a Salem native for over 15 years.
Yes, 15 years.
So could you walk us through the history of Salem? Has it always been very witchy?
No, actually, in fact, it was a real manufacturing, real blue-collar town. Made its fortune off of manufacturing. And then when manufacturing started to lose its steam, somebody had the great idea to capitalize on the witch trials and the whole history of witchery. They changed the high school, in fact, to like the Salem witches, and they put the witch statue of Bewitched out here, which is a huge tourist draw. And since then, it's just become more and more people coming for the Halloween and the witch stuff.
But my question wasn't answered. Were the two girls who started this all, Abigail and Betty, actually possessed or just faking it?
Knowing those facts, what's your theory on it?
I always thought it was something medical. I think there was some hysteria with these young girls, but I don't think that it was real, no. I think it's just human nature. People started to turn on each other and wanted power, and that's where it came from, was to be accusatory gave you power.
Have you ever participated in witch stuff yourself?
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
No. Psychics, I do believe that they have, some of them are real and some of them have a second sight, but because you don't know which ones are which, it's not really worth the money to try to. Let's say 5% of it is real. We know that herbs have healing properties, and I think these are people that just tend to understand those a little bit better and use them. It's not much different than Ayurvedic medicine or medicine where people use herbs and natural. I think that can definitely, whether you're going to call it witchery or not is just...
Maybe just like unconventional medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You could call it unconventional medicine. And, for some people, psychics are part of medicine for them.
It's interesting that many people think something's going on, but it's mostly just a gimmick.
However, Pastor Stephen had to say otherwise.
There is real spiritual power. The New Testament book of Ephesians particularly talks about there is a real spiritual world that most modern day Americans don't believe exists. But in Salem they do. They do believe exists, and they're right. There is a spiritual world. And so the stuff they're doing does have real power. Like there is spiritual meaning to it. And so there's a little bit of a battle to see like if they can overthrow, because they don't really want the battle here. When we preach the gospel or sing praises to Jesus here, that is the greater power that's at work here. So
putting it all together, there was one more place we had to stop by. The Catholic Church. We sat down with Father Robert Murray, whose church is located in the center of Salem, surrounded by over 10 witch and occult stores.
So we have the Catholic Church on one side of the street. Right across, we got the psychic shop.
A lot of this just seems very innocent. Let's just see if my fiance and I are a good match for each other. What's the big deal?
It does seem innocent, and that's in a way showing kind of a lack of a faith in God. When you start to open up things you're not really sure about, you invite in possibility of much stronger presences than you were expecting.
If you're skiing someplace and you're actually off the trail and there's a lot of trees around, you avoid the trees by going after the snow. You don't try to avoid the trees. So you don't pay your attention to the trees, you pay attention on the good path to go down. And that's one way to think of the spiritual life.
I love that.
Focus on the trying to stay with God.
What are some bad things that you've seen here in the city?
People kind of normalizing worship of Satan. Most recently, someone dropped off a Ouija board, just kind of leaned it up against the building. Over the course of the time I've been here, people have left things, the stuff that they had used at a seance.
Someone walks to you and they practice witchcraft or the occult, and perhaps they say, you pray to God, Muslims pray to another God. Everyone's just praying to a higher power, right? Whether that be witchcraft, different religions, it's all kind of the same thing. We're all praying to the same person. So what does it matter? Sort of a religious universalism.
The usual four things of wealth, power, fame, pleasure, and comfort are the kinds of things that people generally seek. And the occult is one way of seeking that.
Those things.
Yeah. Versus ourselves, who really our task is to bring people to know who Jesus Christ is, and as a result of that, change the world to be a place that is much more filled with His love, the reign of God, than filled with all the other unfortunate stuff that we see in the world.
How can we defend ourselves?
St. Augustine said, evil is on a chain, and it's like a chained dog, actually. And so as long as you stay out of the radius that the dog has to the chain, then you can basically be free of that. Another way of saying that, perhaps more positively, is to avoid those things. Go to the sacraments, make a confession, be intentional about trying to live a holy life.
Anyone who is suffering, it might be physical suffering, it might be spiritual suffering, it might be psychological suffering. We regularly have healing services. People who weren't Catholic just found us online because they were looking for somebody to help them.
I've witnessed people who believe that they were possessed, and it turned out to be a false claim. And that happens probably 98.9% of the time. It's really someone who needs psychological help. When we've prayed over people in healing services, we've had moments where people would fall to the ground and writhing and screaming and that kind of thing.
Wow.
We just pray and bind whatever it is that is causing that to happen. Holy Spirit's the most powerful power in the world, and those things respond to the Holy Spirit, and so we bind them, and then it's really amazing. Things just go, they leave.
The most shocking thing is that you've got these people that are like, oh, I don't see anything really that wrong with Salem. It's just an average Tuesday for them. It's as normal as seeing a McDonald's on the street.
I want to mention, us as Christians, we might come off as very preachy, as very condescending. I don't want this whole narrative of this video to be Jesus good, witch bad, and we're just preaching to the choir. And I do think we actually have a lot in common. We believe in a spiritual dimension or spiritual power, and we also take our faith seriously, whether that be going to mass or practicing the occult, studying all of these demonic practices. And the point I want to drive home is that Jesus in the New Testament, he says, I will give you peace. Not courts, not tarot cards. Jesus Christ says he will give us peace. He says he is the truth and the light. And even if you don't believe in all of this, talk to an exorcist, listen to an interview of an exorcist. Any Catholic exorcist you hear, they will tell you almost all of these cases happen through the occult. And there are documented cases in which this has happened. So there is proof. This isn't just some hokey pokey nonsense. No, we have documented cases of participating in these practices, and this is what happens. But when you pray or you reach out through seances, witchcraft to these entities, you don't know what's on the receiving end. It's almost like writing a letter to grandma, throw it in the mail, but there's no address. You don't really know who you're sending it to. So you can receive a letter back. There's no guarantee that's actually grandma. That's the difference between Christianity versus the occult. When we pray to Christ, we have a direct line to our creator.
The occult promises you more of the world, but the world never makes us happy. And that means that we have a large hole in our souls. And the only thing that can fill that hole is God. It's not crystals, money, it's not fame. And that's what a lot of these like spells and crystals and all of that promises.
Even if somebody is deeply into witchcraft or anything else that is taking them away from God, and we're called to love them as they are and welcome them as they are. You are loved by God. Let Him transform you. And so you just have to ask.
But my question wasn't answered. Were the two girls who started this all, Abigail and Betty, actually possessed or just faking it?
Long story short, there was a slave Tituba who came from Barbados, moved to Massachusetts, taking care of these young girls, and she introduced some witchcraft, maybe just as fun stories, and they claimed to have practiced it, and then they became possessed, or they're foaming at the mouth, paranoia. But when you really read into it, this was under the Puritans. At the time, there was a high degree of strictness, of religious ferocity. I think it's easy for us to point, oh, they're possessed by demons. But this was hundreds of years ago, before modern medical technology. Every time someone wants to receive an exorcism, you have to be assessed by a psychologist, by a doctor. So it could have been cases of schizophrenia, hysteria. Overall, what I see here, yes, it could be demons. It also could be a modern medical issue. I see a big lack of evidence. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of crashing out right now. Let's go get some coffee.
Let's go do it.
God bless. Peace.
I'm a legend with the flow. Sitting in my whip, you know I'm ready for the go.
Bro, look at this guy. Bro.
I'm super tan.
Bro, edit his muscles and make them look bigger.
Yeah, guys, I'm actually 110 pounds. This is all generative AI.
I'm gonna snap and he's gonna disappear. No.
All right.